It's time to meet Clifton.
With your host, Ray Grabowski.
Here's Ray. Welcome everyone to another episode of Meet Clifton. I have two co-hosts today. Santa is joining us tonight. Santa, how are you?
How are you tonight?
And why are you here today?
I'm here to see if your show is naughty or nice.
Okay, typical Christmas jargon. Well, thanks for coming anyhow, and you can sit and see how we go through the show. Tonight's going to be special. We're having a viewer's choice. We picked the shows that people like the most through the past 3 or 4 years, and we're going to present them today, little pieces of each one, and see if you still like them. Okay, but in the meantime, sit back. We'll be right back. Listen to some Christmas music by the Two-Tone.
Well, out of all the reindeer, you know you're the mastermind. I said, run, run, Rudolph, Santa's way too far behind. I said, run, run, Rudolph, Santa, gotta make it to town. Run, Rudolph, run, run, Rudolph. Oh, gotta make them hurry, you can tell to take the freeway down. Run, Rudolph, run, run, Rudolph. I said, run, run, Rudolph, we're wheeling like a merry-go-round. Run, Rudolph, run, run, Rudolph. Oh, Santa, to the boy child, what's the thing you're longing for? Oh, all I want for Christmas is a rock and roll record guitar. Yeah. And then away went a Rudolph whizzing like a shooting star. I said, run, run, Rudolph, Santa's gotta make it to town. Run, Rudolph, run, run, Rudolph. Oh, can't you see him hurry? Tell him to take the freeway down. Run, Rudolph, run, run, Rudolph. I said, run, run, Rudolph, make it like a merry-go-round. Run, Rudolph, run, run, Rudolph.
Okay, welcome back. I think we have an exciting show, so let's get rolling right away. This is the viewer's choice, best shows of all the years. Let's start off with Sharon.
Hi, Ray. How you doing?
Okay, Sharon, what do you think was one of the
Well,
best?
the one that I liked was Hamilton House. That Norma introduced us to some of the dating traditions from years ago, and some actually were pretty good ideas. She was holding up the candle and as long as the person had the candle lit, the person can date, and be courted by this other person. But when the candle went down, the time was up, you had to go home, so it took a while for the people to get to know each other in dating. So in a way, it kind of worked out good. So they didn't jump into a relationship. They really got a chance to know the person that they were dating.
And
so
she had more, and that was a good one.
It's just one of it, but it was relatable to anybody
relatable.
on the dating scene.
Okay, so let's take a look at this one for a little bit, and we'll be right back. How old is the Hamilton House? Just
Well,
date-wise.
Parts of the house were built, the newest part was built in 1815, and the other part of the house we're not exactly sure, but it was built probably in the mid-1700s.
Okay, so I guess what I'm driving at is Norma Smith. Smith is a big name in Clifton. So how long has your family been in Clifton?
Oh, my family came to Clifton in 1887. My grandfather came from Brooklyn to get away from the city, and he's what you call a gentleman farmer. He would travel back and forth by railroad by train to Brooklyn. He was an accountant over there, and he had about 50 acres of property in Clifton on Grove Street. It wasn't called Grove Street then, it was called Railroad Street. And up until just about 4 years ago, my sister lived in the old family house, which was built in 1887. And if anybody's familiar with the area, you see they knocked it down. But I don't blame the people, because the house was over 200 years old, over 100 years old. And up until about 4 years ago, I lived next door in my family home.
But before we end this segment, I have to ask you.
Oh, what do I have
something
here?
in your hand here,
Yes.
so if you could just quickly
Okay,
explain that, I appreciate it.
What this is a toaster.
Oh.
And the fire would be here,
Okay.
and you'd put your toast
bread.
inside here. And then when you wanted to turn around with your toe, the women's with their toe, they would turn it like this and turn it around.
Oh,
And that is
wow.
why they call it a toaster.
Oh.
And you'll see a lot of, it's something a
know
little bit
that.
different.
I didn't know
And what
that.
this is, unfortunately, it's not in working condition right now because I dropped it
You
in
want
my
me to hold
car.
that for you?
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
This is a cording candle. Whoops, it's okay. This is a cording candle, and what they used to do, pretend the candle's up here. Now, a long time ago, girls and boys couldn't be left alone until after they were married. So what would happen, a boy would go to the father and say, I would like to court your daughter, and he would come over, and of course, the couple might be sitting here, but the rest of the family was in the room. Now the father would say to the girl before the boy came, you can court with him till the candle goes down. Now if he liked the boy, he would give him a lot of time to be with each other. If he didn't, he would turn it down really low and only a little bit of time. So that's what they call a courting candle. We do have a lot of men that do buy them. In fact, my brother-in-law bought one for my niece.
I'll have to send
I
my
don't think-
husband
yeah.
there.
There we go.
Yeah, and so but there's a lot of interesting things, and we talk about the history of the house, a little bit about the history of Clifton.
Okay, and we're back. I hope you enjoyed that episode. And also, tonight's music is sponsored by the Two Tones. They'll be playing some Christmas songs in between the interviews, so hope you enjoy those and hope it puts you in the holiday spirit. Our next interview, I'll let our producer Diane introduce. What do you think was...
Well, the one interview that really touched me the most was from Erin Kim O'Connor, who was a heart recipient.
Okay.
And she struggled with heart disease her whole life, and she was given a heart about 4 or 5 years ago. And she said what an impact it had on her life.
So Diane, let me ask you, why do you think this was a very important episode?
Well, this certainly was a gift of life, and I feel like we all should be organ donors.
Okay, well, let's watch a little bit and you can decide for yourselves. We'll be right back.
I was diagnosed when I was 18 with a congenital heart condition known as HOCM, and suffered with that for many years until I was in my late 50s when I went into congestive heart failure. And then I was in acute heart failure, and that led me to needing a transplant. On March 24th, 2015, at North Beth Israel, they gave me the gift of life.
Did you think at some point, you said you were at a young age when they diagnosed you with that. Did you think at some point this would have to happen?
I actually had very good medical care, and in that medical care not only was the ability to, take care of the medication, what I needed, but they did very good education. So I was aware that there was a good chance that I would need a heart transplant at some point.
Right, because I imagine that being on your mind for so many years, you have to wonder, which comes to the next question. Let's just say, now when they decided to have this, what happens after that? When you know you need this heart?
I had my first open heart surgery when I was 24, and they told me I wouldn't last past my 40s. I would die in my 40s, and I didn't because of medical science, because it became progressed. But when I was in my 40s, the doctors did say that eventually it would lead to heart transplant.
Right.
And so in my late 50s, that's what happened.
And what happens now? You need it, so you get part of a list?
Yes.
I'm not too sure that procedure. So
The procedure for that is you go to, for me, a heart transplant specialist team, which I did at North Beth Israel Medical Center.
Right.
And they evaluate you for the appropriateness of that. If you're a kidney person, you'd go to a kidney specialist, and liver, a liver specialist. And those then are the people that would evaluate you and know whether you're appropriate for transplant, because you need to be relatively healthy, sick from the disease that you're suffering from, but otherwise relatively healthy or a good risk for transplant. And I was, thank God. And I was given that gift. It's a true gift.
And I guess the tough thing here is, now you're on the list, and what I'm trying to understand is, how do they pair you? How do you know? Is there a
UNOS
series
does.
of... Yeah,
The
okay.
sharing network in UNOS
Right, that's what I wanna know.
decides the appropriateness of the donor to the recipient.
Right.
So that's done through UNOS, and it's through your blood type and other factors that play into your needing a heart, your size, your weight, all play into, for a heart, on whether that would be appropriate or not.
So now, do they prioritize this to you? Because there's a lot of people waiting.
Yes, and you're done by levels, by how sick you are on the list, does make a difference. There's, levels 1, 2, 3, and depending on where you are in that, then you would get your heart based on that.
And
It's actually much more complicated than that, but
I'm
to
sure it is.
break
And
it down.
here's I know maybe it's a strange question asked, but you're at home waiting for a heart. With your particular case, how did your heart show up?
You
Or
get
do you know?
UNOS knows, and they call the next person on the list. They don't call me. They actually call Nork Beth.
Right.
And then Nork Beth calls me and tells me. And some people are in the hospital. A lot of my friends who received hearts that I met through the heart transplant program were in the hospital. I happen to have been home. I get a call that there's a heart. They asked me if I want it, and I said to Jen, sure. A little funny note was I also said I'm in pajamas because this was 7 o'clock at night. Why I thought that was important, I don't know. And she said, you know, to come in. I had my to-go bag already in the car because they tell you to set that up. And when I hung up the phone from her, I stood up to go, and then I sat back down because I knew that I was about to make phone calls that were going to make a lot of people very happy.
Oh, sure.
And somewhere, someone else was making a phone call that was going to be very sad.
Right, right.
And that took me by surprise at that moment.
That, I guess, is bittersweet.
Bittersweet.
Because you're going to be happy, but someone's obviously
Right.
lost someone.
Someone had to die for me to get
Exactly,
this gift.
exactly.
And I felt for the person who died, my donor,
Right.
who I'm very grateful to, and her family, because
Right.
they would be mourning.
Because they allow you to live on,
Right.
and without their, and we're going to get to that before the end of the donor.
Right.
But my co-host Sharon here had a really good question, if you don't mind asking it.
Sure, Kim, how did the heart transplant change your lifestyle after you did receive it?
I wouldn't be here if I didn't get the donation, so that's the first way it changed. But believe it or not, prior to the donation, for me to have stood up and walked to the end of his table, I would have had a first stop when I stood up because I would have had to take a breath, and then to walk a few steps, then I had to stop, take a few breaths. So really how it's changed my life is I walked up the stairs to get here to the second floor. Before this, I would never have walked up a flight of stairs. I wouldn't have even attempted it, never mind.
Right. It's like a
tried
second
it.
life for you.
It is.
pretty much.
I
Okay,
can go to the
wow.
beach. I can actually make it to the water.
Sure.
I can go swimming, kayaking, biking.
Enjoying life.
I enjoy life.
Beautiful.
And I got to see some great nephews and nieces born that I would not
Oh,
have.
that's a blessing in
So-
itself, too. Right.
That's a huge blessing. Very huge.
Mm-hmm.
So
So I'm sure there's a big message in this, and I'm sure at the end you'll let us know. But I would think you have a whole new life ahead of you, that you're probably doing things that you never thought you would do, and I'm sure now you're taking advantage of it.
yeah, when I was, 30, 40, my early 50s, I couldn't do anything. I bike now and I kayak, and I couldn't have done that before this. It truly, truly changed my life in many ways. And to thank my donor is impossible, and to tell her family how grateful I am, there aren't words that can express how grateful I am.
It's amazing that we have that technology now, because
Absolutely.
100 years ago, that was it. So it's
And-
nice, and there's,
I had the best team going.
where did you have the procedure
I had the
done?
procedure at North Beth Israel Medical Center, but Dr. Zucker, Barron, Peretti were the ones who got me all the way to transplant, and then Dr. Margarita Camacho, who is a surgeon who is truly gifted, not only with her skills but with her compassion and kindness, did the procedure and really changed my life.
Something like that. What's the recovery time?
It does differ for everyone. I was home, I went in the hospital, and I was discharged 7 days later.
Wow.
By the third day, I did a long walk, and I think that was the most impactful point. I walked all the way around the nurses' station, which one I couldn't have done before I got there. But also, I didn't know you could walk, talk, and breathe at the same time. I thought they were all separate events. And so I was very overwhelmed when I finished.
Sure.
The walk,
I
and
can't
very
imagine
grateful.
that, you have this, it's
Yeah.
the gift of life in essence.
Absolutely.
I asked you for some questions. This one's an interesting one. I have to ask you. It says, if I am an organ donor, will it affect my care in the ER?
Absolutely not. When they're treating you in the ER, they don't know that you're an organ donor.
Okay.
So
Good.
it would never affect your treatment. The doctor's first creed is to do no harm. So they would save your life before having you become an organ donor.
Because you hear these horror stories from
Yeah.
different countries, and they're selling organs, and I don't know how true that is.
We don't
or
do
not.
that here.
I don't think we do that either. And
Newark Beth Israel, nor Robert Wood Johnson, who do heart transplants, could transplant an organ that didn't come through UNOS, and that wouldn't come through UNOS. So
okay, and probably the last thing I want to ask you, and this is very important to the people, and I said I would ask this What would you like to say to the people at home about organ donors? And please tell them.
Please, please consider being an organ donor. It truly does save lives, and it impacts so many people. Not only does it impact me as the recipient, it impacts my family and my friends. It truly is a gift. And if you could be a donor, please, please sign up. You can do it through your driver's license or through organdonation.gov. You can go on their site and sign up to be an organ donor and discuss it with your family. It's a gift that changes lives. So please consider it.
We'll light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. And light one candle for those who are suffering a pain we learned so long ago. And light one candle for all we believe in. Let anger not tear us apart. And light one candle for bind us together with peace as the song in our heart.
Okay, and we're back here to introduce the next viewer's choice, Drea.
Okay, Ray, well, you know I'm an animal lover, especially of green iguanas.
Oh, yeah.
So my favorite show among my friends was Jerry Zelenka and his daughter when they came with the live animals to present their Touch of Nature animal program. And we did get to touch the animals, and it was really exciting.
Which was your favorite animal?
Of course, the green iguana.
But it's not an animal, right? An iguana?
It's a reptile.
It's a reptile.
It's a reptile.
Okay, you make your decision. Let's see with this episode. So you book different places, schools, and I keep thinking of that alligator wrestler guy when I'm doing this interview. Yeah, you have it's a program. You go to different schools,
right. Yeah, we work at museums, environmental education programs, at camps, and Boy Scout groups, Girl Scouts. You know, all sorts of different locations we travel to. So even private homes for birthday parties and things like that. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so it's a big production.
Yes.
And we're gonna get to the animals in a minute because I don't know if I'm nervous or scared.
You're nervous.
I hope they don't bite me. I think, oh no,
It's right under you.
like a snake is under my leg here.
Right under you.
I disappear. Which
Who's gonna
animal
be
do we
first?
want to present first?
Well, if you're talking about maybe more common animals that youngsters would,
Okay.
we have, maybe Chris would like to take that one out.
I'm not nervous.
Yes, you are.
I'm just
But
apprehensive.
just so everyone knows in the audience out there that we're dealing with the animals, but they're not living in these boxes.
Right.
Obviously, we have appropriate cages, and
course.
this is just a great way to take them, transport them.
You got more hair than I got.
Unhold them? Oh, it's cute.
Don't get him too close.
Yeah.
Man. He's afraid.
Yeah, and normally we tell the youngsters, we say, like if you're in the woods and you see maybe a fox and you want to call him, you go like this, shh. And that's the sound a rabbit would make if it's injured.
Oh, really?
And of course, to a fox or a coyote, that means the dinner bell, you know, bunny burgers. So that's the way I call them to photograph them. And we both do a lot of photography. We've been to Africa together, and I've photographed the brown bear and the grizzly bear in Alaska.
Really?
Oh, it's great.
Well, this is not a normal rabbit. It's not indigenous to New
This
Jersey,
is
right?
not a cottontail rabbit from Jersey. This is actually it's a hybrid, but primarily you see the lion mane in this rabbit. It's a beautiful rabbit, you know.
Simba.
You know, it's kind of humid, very fuzzy hair day, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and this was obviously your pet.
Oh, yeah, oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, they all are really, but.
And we don't have any wild animals, so to speak. In other words, you can't go.
Well, I know that leather box looks
No,
pretty
you
big.
can't pick up a rabbit and bring a rabbit
Get the
home.
one between your legs.
You know.
Okay, where are we going next?
Well, even as the audience sees this tonight, you have to realize that almost every animal here is a permitted animal.
Right.
You have to, you know. This one is a rather pretty iguana. I love the color of that one. It's a little bit, shall we say, hyper, if you want to use that word, because it was in a cage. It's very warm. Probably should have shut the heat off, but we took it out of the cage about an hour ago, and it's really very robust. It's been eating quite well. Variety of vegetables and
Does he change colors?
greens.
No.
No? Okay.
Where do we find the iguana?
All the way from Central America down to South America. They are now an invasive species in Florida, but green iguanas tend to be orange,
Yeah.
green, darker colors, all different variations. But
And you don't have to wear special gloves. I mean, those
I get used to it.
fingernails are,
She clipped him this
He
morning.
needs a manicure.
wow. And they're not dangerous, obviously.
No.
Well,
Now that you say it.
They can be a little hyper, and of course you have to watch the tail. That's why my daughter and I always tuck the tail under
Yeah,
the
'cause
arm
that-
because they can give you a slap.
And I guess after hundreds of years of being exploited in the movies as dinosaurs,
Right,
you know,
exactly.
they got a bad name.
Right. And of course,
What's the
as my
life
daughter said,
expectancy?
being invasive of Florida, they're all over down there. And
Yeah.
They can live up
causing
to
a lot of
about up in the 10s, the teens.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
How old is this little boy?
This is a rescued, so we
Right.
have. She,
You really don't know.
But we don't know.
yeah, not exactly sure of the age. Rough, very
Yeah,
rough
really?
skin.
Right,
Yeah.
it is, it is.
And the snakes are real soft.
Well, it's
With
very
their
pretty.
skin.
I mean, this is a
Oh, I
kind
love
of
the
orange
color.
in color.
Wow, that's a nice one.
Most of the ones you see are
wanna
the
hold
green
for
with
me?
the
No, no,
big
I want
you
to.
know.
I'm interested in the one that's underneath my feet, or whatever comes next.
There we go.
Okay, that was.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now,
Perfect.
I'm talking about Central America and South America. In line with that,
He ain't holding this one. I know he won't. I had one
maybe
as
you
a
get that one
pet,
for me.
a boa constrictor.
I grew up with fish.
Fish.
Oh, this is a big one.
And this
This
is
is
the boa.
bigger than the one I had.
Whoa.
Okay, right, hold this just.
Just so I know, they don't bite, right?
Yeah, they
Well,
do.
they mean they can.
They can, right? But this one
I'll
probably.
keep the head over here.
Yeah,
But
move
this
back
is-
a little bit, right?
I mean, it's a common one. There are other ones, boas that are different type of boa. This is a common boa. They're red-tailed boas, which are prettier, and they're more tree boas. And
Can a boa, can it be domesticated or no?
uh,
In a sense of, you know, it knows its owner and things like that? Or-
well, of the bigger snakes,
Right.
including the pythons and boas, generally the boa is a calmer snake, where some of the bigger ones, the anacondas, have a tendency to be a little bit nippy, and reticulated python, which gets to be well over 20 feet, if it gets nippy, it may nip and not let go. So
How big is this one?
that's about 6 feet.
Yeah,
plus.
about 7 feet,
You know,
6,
And what do
7
we
feet.
feed them?
Well, these have to eat, we
Guinea
feed
pigs, or-
no dead rodents.
Okay.
We buy them frozen
Oh,
and defrost them.
because I had one
a
for as
separate
a
microwave,
pet. We,
you
had,
know.
we used to get them little mice.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
a snake like this could eat
Well, yeah, well, he probably eat
five or
dozen
six,
mice.
Mice, yeah,
five
yeah.
or six rats in a row without a problem.
Hi.
Wow.
But
Ray,
they
you want to
digest-
hold them?
No,
Yeah,
no.
They
feel them
digest
No,
now.
I'm
very-
fine.
Want the tail end?
I'm good.
Really? See?
Right.
I'm okay, you know.
I mean, obviously, if you were just handling the rabbit or a mouse or a
He
guinea
might
pig, it is occasional that the
Yeah,
snake would,
maybe.
and they're sticking its tongue out. So if you talk to it, I've seen people say, "Oh, what a pretty snake! I hope it hears me." It can't hear, obviously, the vibrations, of course,
can
but it has a
smell.
tongue for smell.
Yeah,
and
wow, that's pretty
Its
interesting.
tongue is sticking
Hi.
out, smelling with the tongue.
Want
Softer
to say
than
hi to Ray?
No, that's
Say hi, Ray.
George is sticking his tongue out at you, so what does that say?
Nothing. He loves me. Hi.
Wow.
Just don't expect an answer.
No.
Anytime
I
soon.
don't get too many answers anyway.
And what happens, they do get larger, and of course some
Yeah.
of the big snakes, once you get 10, 12, 14 feet long, when they bite, they may not let go. And of course,
They have a lot of
oh, yeah,
power in there.
a lot of grip. People
Yes.
don't realize how much of a
Yes.
grip it has.
Okay.
He's like,
In other words,
Okay.
let's go.
Get out.
Sam back in.
And again, we don't keep these in suitcases,
That's pretty interesting close up, you know.
but to be honest with you, it's a very good way of carrying because it's a wood top. We have air holes in the
Yeah,
front.
no, it's great.
And in the wintertime, we can put heat packs in the bottom.
I could have back it up.
Obviously, it keeps them cooler, carrying from one place to the other. It's darker,
Yeah,
so
it's a good way to
animals.
transport.
Well, animals are sometimes a little bit
Yeah.
with the light. So if it's a very bright light or people moving around, so it's a much better way of carrying it.
Okay. I forgot what's in this box.
Well, in this one, a lot of people like this.
Ray,
This is a
Oh, a hedgehog.
dwarf hedgehog. Very cute. Most people say, "Oh, that's a cute little porcupine." It's not a porcupine. It's not related to a
well, there's his
porcupine.
legs, Ray.
Where a porcupine
Coming out,
is a
yeah.
rodent.
He's coming out to see you.
Now, if you were handling this, if it were a porcupine, you'd probably be going to
Be
St.
done,
Joe's
yeah.
Hospital
Yeah.
or St. Mary's
Well,
Hospital.
this one
or whatever.
doesn't shoot
No,
anything.
no.
the porcupines don't do that either.
No,
That's
even
a common
porcupine
misconception.
doesn't
Yeah,
shoot.
yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
a
yeah.
porcupine may shake its tail, and maybe a quill would come out, but it's the slapping of the porcupine
Oh, okay.
against you. So, and we do have quite a few porcupines in Jersey. Not often seen, but they're
Yeah, nice.
they're out there.
Pretty spiky.
It's
Yeah.
a cute
Yeah.
little pet, but again, any pet that you have has to be respected as a living animal, and a lot of kids get them
Absolutely.
and they want to have one, and
He's
they'd
got
like
hair
to.
like you. Nice.
Yeah, it sticks
And then
in,
after a while, their friends
Doesn't
have
bite
seen
you.
it,
They're messed up in the back.
and they get bored with it. So what
Yeah,
happens?
I know. It's
What happens to it?
the age old, they buy the hamster
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
leave it and then they forget about it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they dump them
Yeah.
off wherever.
And they're
you know.
nocturnal as well, so
Yeah.
they
I mean-
you're awake and they're sleeping, and
Yeah.
you're sleeping, they're awake. It doesn't really.
I mean, obviously, you both love animals.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. Okay, welcome back. I think one of my favorite episodes, and a lot of people told me that they liked it, was when we had Sifu Pedro Chaparro Yi from the Hunga Kung Fu School in Clifton on, and he was showing us a little qigong on how to make ourselves breathe better and things like that. So let's take a look at this. I think you'll enjoy it. Okay, so I know there's a lot, and I'd like to move on to, because I know people are interested, they want to see something. So maybe we could take a few minutes now, and I know you brought a student with you.
Yes.
So maybe you could demonstrate at least something so that people have something at home that they can practice with.
Definitely.
So we're going to go right to that right now. All right, so Sifu brought a student with him. Andy, thanks for coming down. I really appreciate it. Sifu's going to demonstrate what we were talking about just a minute ago, so please pay attention. Thank you.
In China, there are many famous styles of Qigong. This particular style of Qigong comes from a set called the 6 Healing Sound Qigong. There's a different sound per organ, but there are movements that activate the energy flow in the meridians, and the meridians are basically lines on the body that produce this type of bioelectricity, which helps the energy of the organ work. So if you have a cold or something wrong in the organ, what ends up happening is that it gets stuck. This helps improve getting that energy in there, and the movement combined with the breath create pressure. So the sound that it's actually done is twofold. One is so like saying the, but because it creates pressure to the top of the lung. Then the second part is which lets it go. So this tightens the top of the lung, and then the th spreads the bottom of the lung, which releases phlegm and all different things in the organ. The particular channel on the body for the lung goes from here down the inside of the arm to the fingers. So in this exercise, he's going to turn his hand out. He's going to inhale as he goes, smaller at first so the upper part of the lung works, and then larger so the lung gets completely filled. So would you begin? He's going to take a breath to bring his energy and center himself, because in this world you're stressed, your mind's all over the place. This helps to bring everything down. He's going to open one foot, step forward with the other. In preparation, he's going to begin moving his hand back. And while he moves his hand back, he moves the thumb out, which puts the tension on the organ and activates the energy. Like shiatsu, it's a system that works on that. As he goes forward, he's going to make the sound. Go ahead. And then he's going to open wider, which is going to fill the lower part of the lung, and do the same. He's going to bring his foot back, his hand back. He's going to take a breath, bring the energy back down. Then he will open the opposite foot. Step forward with the other foot, leaning back, making a V, and go forward. And moving back wider, and go forward. And I just want you to continue doing that. These particular exercises go according to the seasons. So the season of the fall, which is from fall all the way until December 23rd, when winter comes in, what ends up happening is that the lungs become the most affected. So in doing these exercises, what we end up doing is strengthening the lung at the time when it could be affected most. You know, colds come in and things like that. So this helps keep those away.
Okay, so I think we should let our co-host pick an episode that he thought was one of the best. So, George, what do you think?
One of the best ones that I liked was the folding of the flags. And a lot of our people that are watching our show said the same thing to me. And the other part is that each time we fold the flag, it means something. And you'll see that on the show after I get done.
Okay, and also we present the show every year in June in memory of Jeffrey Dvorak, who did this segment for us, who passed away. So in his honor and his memory, we're going to show this every time Flag Day comes along. So take a look at this one. Okay, so I think a lot of people didn't know when I went last year to this, and it was really important that I didn't really know why the American flag is folded 13 times. And I have a little thing here, and it's a paragraph. It says, have you ever wondered why the flag of the United States of America is folded 13 times? When it is lowered and when it is folded and handed to the next of kin at the burial of a veteran. I think that's important because I asked a lot of people. Many people didn't know. So tonight, to explain it to us, these gentlemen have come on. They brought a flag. And in a moment, they're going to show us the exact meaning of the flags while Keith Oakley narrates. So we're going to do that right now.
Here is the meaning of each of these folds and what it means. The first fold of our flag is the symbol of life. The second fold is the symbol of our belief in eternal life. The third fold is made in honor and remembrance of the veterans departing our ranks who gave a portion of their lives for the defense of our country to attain peace throughout the world. The fourth fold represents our weaker nature, for as American citizens trusting, it is to him we turn in times of peace, as well as in time of war, for his divine guidance. The fifth fold is a tribute to our country, for in the words of Stephen Decatur, our country, in dealing with other countries, may she always be right, but it is still our country, right or wrong. The sixth fold is where our hearts lie. It is with our heart that we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The seventh fold is a tribute to our armed forces, for it is through the armed forces that we protect our country and our flag against all her enemies, whether they be found within or without the boundaries of our republic. The eighth fold is a tribute to the one who entered into the valley of the shadow of death, that we might see the light of day, and to honor Mother, for whom it flies on Mother's Day. The ninth fold is a tribute to womanhood, for it has been through their faith, their love, loyalty, and devotion that the character of the men and women who have made this country great has been molded. The 10th fold is a tribute to the Father, for he too has given his sons and daughters for the defense of our country since they were first born. The 11th fold, in the eyes of a Hebrew citizen, represents the lower portion of the seal of King David and King Solomon, and glorifies in their eyes the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The 12th fold, in the eyes of a Christian citizen, represents an emblem of eternity and glorifies in their eyes God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. 13th, when the flag is completely folded, the stars are uppermost, reminding us of our nation's motto, "In God we trust." After the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it takes on the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington, and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, who were followed by their comrades and shipmates in the armed forces of the United States, preserving for us the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy today.
This is the flag of our country, the symbol of freedom, the emblem of unity.
Okay, actually the flag folding was one of my favorite ones too. You know, we should be proud of our country, and this is one way of showing it by we display our flags. And once we understand the meaning of it, that's even better. So I enjoyed that one also, George. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells ring and jingle bells swing. Snowing and blowing a bushel of fun. Now the jingle rock has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells chiming, jingle bells time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air, what a bright day! It's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time, it's a swell time. Would you go gliding in a one-horse sleigh?
Okay, well, that's our show for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Those are just a few of the shows that most people like, called Viewer's Choice. We'll probably have it again. So if someone out there likes some of the episodes, please let us know by writing in or let us know which ones they are. And next time we have it, we'll be glad to show it. But in the meantime, be good to your friends and family. Respect your neighbors. Keep Clifton close to your heart. This is a great town. Thank you. God bless and good night.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Happy New Year!